She never prosecuted Steve Mnuchin, who is now the Secretary of the Treasury. Now, Steve Mnuchin was the head of One West Bank, and they're committing lots of crimes, a lot of crimes. How many, Jimmy? Well, the lawyers from Kamala Harris's office investigated, said they found 1,000 instances of criminality. And if they looked a little harder, they would probably find 1,000 more. Kamala Harris never prosecuted Steve Mnuchin, and she's never explained why she didn't do that. Ever. She did get a campaign donation. The only Democrat that Steve Mnuchin donated to was Kamala Harris. Of course, that's who Joe Biden picked. Do you see we're being run by the most corrupt criminals that you could possibly imagine? Do you know that Joe Biden is not less corrupt than Donald Trump? Do you know that? I don't think you know that.
Well, the difference between Biden and Trump on that count is all Biden got was like a union windbreaker. He didn't like even make that much money. You know, he did whatever the credit card industry wanted, but he doesn't have a whole lot to show for it.
He got nothing. His kid got a job, but he didn't get it. Yeah, it's like they sell out for nothing. Like what Bernie's doing right now. Bernie, what are you getting out of this? Fucking nothing. Let me read his tweet and now I'll come to you. He says, congratulations to Kamala Harris, who will make history as our next vice president. She understands what it takes to stand up for working people, fight for health care for all, and take down the most corrupt administration in history. Let's get to work and win.
Jimmy, read the tweet right underneath it. It says hashtag from Mr. Phil, hashtag stay home November.
This is why the progressive movement must move past Bernie. He has no solidarity with us.
Well, I mean, and it's a false statement. She doesn't support health care for all.
No.
She signed on with Bernie's Medicare for all so she could be next to him in a press conference. And then when she was asked about it, she said, no, I wouldn't do anything to affect private insurance when Don Lemon asked her on stage. So she was just a complete fraud about that. But I was going to say, you know, if everyone in the Democratic Party elites want to blame Ralph Nader for getting George W. Bush elected, shouldn't they love Ralph Nader? Because George W. Bush just got a standing ovation from Democrats at John Lewis's funeral. So shouldn't they be happy that George W. Bush got elected? They love him. They love the fact, apparently, that he turned the large parts of the Middle East into smoldering ruin. They love the fact that he waged a war on science and prevented stem cell research from advancing. They love the fact that he flew over New Orleans in a 747 when the city was underwater and did nothing. They love the fact that he gave one of the largest tax cuts to the rich and wasted the Social Security surplus. They love the fact that he gave us Dick Cheney and the neocons, and we're still fighting this war in Afghanistan. If they love that so much and it's all Ralph Nader's fault, shouldn't they thank Ralph Nader?
I always thank him for the torture program.
Oh, yeah, I love the torture program. You know, when they pulpified the legs of Afghan taxi drivers. And then the only people who went to jail were the like low-level grunts who did it. Actually, the only person who went to jail for the CIA torture program under Bush was John Kiriakou because he blew the whistle on it.
That's how we do it in America, baby. You know that. The criminals don't go to jail. It's the people who tell. So it's my theory that the United States, we're a one large nation. We're adult children of alcoholics. That's our personality. And as a country, we don't get angry at the people who are hurting us and the criminals who are stealing from us and having our kids be killed and killing other people while they steal from us and line their pockets. We don't get angry at them. We don't get angry at Dick Cheney or George Bush or Barack Obama or Joe Biden or Bill Clinton. Who do we get angry at? We get angry at the people who tell us that they're committing war crimes. We don't get mad at the people who are doing war crimes. We get angry at the people who tell us. That is the classic symptom of adult children of alcoholics, and that's what we are as a nation, and that's why we're a failed state right now. Like, people don't understand. The United States is a failed state. What do you call a country where 80% of the workers live paycheck to paycheck, 80 million people have underinsured or no health care, 45,000 people a year die because they don't have health care, hundreds of thousands go bankrupt just because they get sick? This is a failed fucking state. And that's why, you know, you see Bernie or anybody, they're cheering electoral politics. It's so ridiculous. It's so, oh, look, did you see Cory Bush got it? Oh, my God, look, we got another progressive who's going to completely capitulate to Nancy Pelosi and the fucking Democratic machine, just like AOC, everybody, every single member of the squad, and Bernie Sanders, who voted for the biggest, largest upward transfer of wealth in the history of the human race. They did that right in your fucking face, and then they lied to you about it. Bernie lied to you. AOC lied how she voted against it. Everybody, they lied to you about it. They told you there was good stuff in the CARES Act when we all know there isn't. And now you have nothing. And now you have to rely on Trump to send you $400. Now you got to rely on Trump. Please, God, send us $400 until Christmas. So, let's see what else I have prepared. I have some stuff prepared here. She, by the way, don't buy that she was against the death penalty. Don't buy that bullshit. Kamala Harris touts her opposition to the death penalty. Her track record's more complicated. And then here she is with Steve Mnuchin. She's never answered for that. I think we've covered this pretty good. Oh, here we go. How Kamala Harris fought to keep nonviolent prisoners locked up. In late 2014, lawyers from Kamala Harris's office claimed that nonviolent offenders needed to stay incarcerated lest they lose bodies for fire camps in the wildfire-plagued state. That's what we were just talking about. California submitted a proposal for relocating inmates to fire camps to fight wildfires and preventing out-of-state prisoners from being returned. Harris has been criticized on multiple occasions for fighting to keep people, including innocent ones, in prison. In the case of Daniel Larson, an ex-felon sentenced to 27 years to life under California's three strikes law, Kamala Harris argued that even if Danny was innocent, his conviction should not be reversed because he waited too long to file his petition, according to the California Innocence Project, which took Larson's case. So there you go. That's who she is. That's who she's always been. That's who Joe Biden is. It makes perfect sense if you look at it from that end. But if you look at it from an electoral politics, it's just like Hillary Clinton picking Tim Kaine. It does absolutely nothing to get a vote. Nothing. What do you think it does? Go ahead.
I can't, Hillary would have wanted to win Virginia. So arguably Kaine did more, although I don't know about his harmonica skills. He's kind of he's just such a pathetic.
She picked somebody to her right. Tim Kaine was wasn't he anti-abortion, anti-union, anti-worker? She picked new fucking Gingrich.
Yeah, he won election in Virginia before the state really started swinging left, before there was this big shift, which was essentially a demographic shift. And so he has a lot of right-wing positions, including on abortion, which weren't a problem because she picked him. Planned Parenthood didn't really say anything about that. I don't remember.
Nope.
But whatever. That's in the past. This is now. And, it was so depressing from the beginning after Biden basically slept his way to the nomination that he announced that he was going to pick not a woman for vice president. That was such a lie that he said he was going to pick a woman as vice president. He was going to pick a woman who was a prosecutor. Because who were his top three choices? It was Kamala, Gretchen Whitmer, and Amy Klobuchar. And, until Klobuchar, faced the fact that she had presided over this complete catastrophe in Minneapolis, which blew up with the murder of George Floyd.
Right.
But it was she's not actually looking at the entire field of women and judging them based on merit. It's just who is going to be the person that will represent the biggest insult to anyone who remotely supported Bernie Sanders, and who will push Bernie Sanders in the position of endorsing that person to demoralize whatever movement there was to put pressure on the Democratic Party. And in the middle of a pandemic, with the unemployment rate pushing above 15%, with people about to be thrown out of their houses, with a proposal to pay Americans just a measly $2,000 a month, languishing in the Senate because the Democrats won't do anything with that proposal. This is the person we get. And it's just one insult after another, to the point where I don't want to spread cynicism, but I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, Joe Biden already on his own is just such it's just such an insult. This is someone who basically won South Carolina because Jim Clyburn, who's like this, local machine politician and a tool of big pharma, shepherded people to the polls to vote for him. And that was it. So here we are. And, we haven't even talked about the insults that have been taking place, the kind of anti-democratic practices, and I'm sure you've talked about this on other episodes, within the DNC, where the delegates, many of whom are corporate lobbyists, who approve the campaign platform plank, are taking the popular will of the Democratic Party constituents and rejecting it, especially on issues like Israel-Palestine, where Biden personally intervened in the platform debate to prevent the word occupation from being mentioned. And this also speaks to who Kamala Harris is. Kamala Harris is someone who said that the reason she loves Israel so much and is so inspired by it is it reminds her of Martin Luther King's march in Selma across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. She actually said that, I think, at AIPAC. She's someone who in 2017 went and had a personal meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, the world's leading segregationist, the face of apartheid, and has been feeding at the trough of the Israel lobby's funding mechanism, along with big tech in California. So this is how she got to where she is. And this is why, and this is the system that we're stuck with. And, when you see young people confronting Chicago police in downtown and people just dismiss that, just a bunch of looters, or you see what's happening in Portland, this is just a generation that's been betrayed by people like Kamala Harris. That's really what we're left with as the resistance. And it's not a pretty picture.
Well, what I heard is that he was thinking of picking Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, but they didn't like the bumper sticker, Biden Bottoms. Just didn't. Maybe he does. Maybe he does bottom, which maybe he tops from the bottom. Who knows? Anyway.
Well, Bernie's the bottom in this situation.
No shit. And by the way, there is no bottom to this.
There's no bottom. The bar is low.
The bar keeps going lower and lower and fucking lower. How about Pramila? Was it Pramila Jayapal who on the healthcare task force? Never once brought up. She went on the Biden-Bernie task force. Never once brought up Medicare for all in all the meetings. Never once brought it up. What the fuck? Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.